in size of this copper vessel, and you only burn cow dung, cow's ghee, pure, both, that is important, and some grains of rice. That's it. And 2 mantras in the morning, 2 mantras in the evening, and that is all. So we do not use any Havan Samakri. I don't say it's not good to burn Havan Samakri, because probably that has some good effect also, but it's just for Agnihotra we don't use it. So if you make statements about effects of Havan Samakri, okay, you have to do separate studies. You can't just say, okay, here the studies of Agnihotra show some positive effect, so that means all homas or all havens work the same way. This we don't know. You know, you would have to do separate studies. Just I know, and we have a lot of evidence of this simple form of Agnihotra, and that's the beauty of it. It's very simple. You do not need to learn Sanskrit for a long time. You don't have to pay for some priest to come and do the havens. You easily can do it at home. Even small children can do it at home. In Palampur University, some teachers and many students were participating in that studies. And there was one study in Palampur University also which showed if you change the modality of Agnihotra, if you use a different vessel, if you use some, say, buffalo dung instead of cow dung, if you use buffalo ghee instead of cow ghee, if you don't do it at the correct time, if you don't do the mantras, you know, all these things, all this variation from the correct form of doing it, they led to a lesser effect of Agnihotra. So that proved you have to do it correctly at this exact time, exact vessel, only cow dung, pure cow's ghee, and some rice, and the exact mantras. That was clearly shown in some experiment. It was a master thesis done under the guidance of Poonam. So this is what we know. And of course, there because somebody asked, mentioned, okay, effects on herbs and plants. Yes, there's much more about Agnihotra. It can be used in psychotherapy. It has definitely a very good effect on the mind. It can be used in agriculture. Helps to grow plants, helps to increase the yield, and helps to make the plants more nutritious, which is very important nowadays also. So there are many other applications also. And if you're interested, I would be happy to talk about other aspects later on also.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Burke. I'm sure Dr. Ishwar has a lot of questions with the special reference to the constitution of the Agnihotra. We discussed it when he gave a presentation last time. I don't know if he wants to ask that question now. Over to Dr. Ishwar.
Thank you. I want to ask Dr. Burke a question. In India, we perform Agnihotra as according to our Shastras have told. But there is no reference of cow dung there. In which reference you got it? Which is the first reference of the copper vessel, cow dung, and akshat? I want to know this.
See, Agnihotra, it's not my my own development. It's not that I was reading the Vedas and then I came up with this method of Agnihotra. Actually, what happened is one great master, his name is Sri Gajanan Maharaj from Akkalkot. He was under the guidance of Lord Parshuram, and he made the vow to resuscitate the Vedas. And because the Vedas were really in a very bad state in India and worldwide. The most important tool for resuscitating the Vedas was this small, short form of Agnihotra. And you may not find it in the Vedas, the written text which we have now, but also he said that a lot of the Vedas has been lost in the course of time. Only some small portion is remaining. So It may not be in the written text which we have now. But what I've heard is it comes from Vriksha Ayurveda, this knowledge of Agnihotra is in that part. But I cannot give you any clear reference because that was revealed again by this high master.
But we can study the difference of both the procedures. We should do also that.
Sure. Yes. See, I do not normally pay much attention to the source of this method.
We study the comparison between the two methods.
Yeah, just let me say one word. Normally in science, where some hypothesis comes from, it's not important because you can go back and go to the source of, but that does not prove that it's correct. You know, earlier that was what people did in the West. It comes from the Bible, so it must be correct. But no, you have to look yourself as a scientist. You shouldn't believe in anything, in no authority, no book, but you should test yourself, and then only science happens. So, and this is exactly our approach. We got this this knowledge, and now we put it to test in the different ways: microbiology, chemistry, biology, agriculture, and so on. We put it to test. Until now, all these tests were positive. So, as I said earlier, I do not know about other havens. I know they exist. I know last time you showed some other type of Agnihotra, which is similar to what Arya Samaj does. I know these things exist, but we do not have evidence of how the effects are. So if you're interested to do a comparison between these two forms, that is, of course, very much welcome. Yes, that would be interesting.
Yeah, you are also welcome for the study, and we will be cooperating with each other to do that.
Great, that is great. Looking forward to do that, yes.
Okay,
also,
thank you.
How can we take the collaboration forward? Anybody can take this question. Yes, Dr. Rakesh.
I have one question from Dr. Bark and Dr. Poonam. Is there any evidence when the cow ghee is burnt there, a lot of oxygen is produced? Is there any scientific evidence here?
Sir, this question, of course, reference has been made that oxygen molecules are increased, and when Agnihotra is performed, there is a decrease of ozone layer also. But in our university, we have not done that. But that it is an important aspect of Agnihotra that can be
Yes.
because now with the help of certain instruments, when we can measure the oxygen level also, because Agnihotra is a major effect for the control of air pollution. So this is going to be a very important study, and that can be done easily. It's not a big job otherwise to measure the air quality
Yes.
index. That will be really useful.
Can I say something also answering
Yes.
this question?
Yes.
See, you perform Agnihotra, and one big effect, and that has been proven in many places, and also in Palampur University in that project which Dr. Poonam mentions. The growth of plant increases. So if you have more growth of plants, then there will be a lot of more of oxygen production and CO2 reduction. So yes, some CO2 is produced, some oxygen is consumed by having this small fire, but then the effect, because the growth of plants is so much higher, you know, they produce much more CO2, and so much more, they consume much more CO2, much more O2 is released. So in the end, you have a lot of more oxygen by performing Agnihotra. And you have to see, this is a very small fire. Okay, you can do a quantitative analysis, that would be nice. But if you just look at this small fire, you know, it's like you burn a couple of candles, that is all.
The one thing I would just like to add, because Agnihotra is made in which we had been practicing so simplified, like Dr. Berg said, just 2 mantras. and very petty things. Because when we used to advocate this, or farmers used to come and visit us and see the growth of the plants and the results, the question always used to be which quantity, how much. Because when you just tell them it is a matter of 10 minutes, just 2 mantras, this much ghee, this much grains only, then it was easy to be adopted. In fact, till date also many farmers have taken this Agnihotra timing calendar from us, and they have been practicing because it becomes easier. One of the master students, which Dr. Burke was referring, she is my student, Dr. Richa, and she is staying in Gurgaon, Delhi. And she has a baby who was weak at that time, at the time of birth, and she has been practicing Agnihotra daily in her house, morning, evening, and now her parents have adopted. And she is finding in this era, when everything is so polluted in Delhi, that she finds that my home, I can myself feel the difference in the air quality when I go out and when I come inside the house. This is just an indicator how Agnihotra affects. Of course, it has to be maintained regularly. It is not that you're doing one day and you expect the results. It has to be in a cyclic manner, morning and evening, then morning, evening, daily. Only then it shows the effects. Thank
And
you.
how do we handle the viral load experiment? How do we design an experiment for viral load reduction? And secondly, what is the mechanism of action? How is it bringing the effect to the mind? Because you showed changes in EEG, and also, is it killing those bacteria, or how is it killing it? Those two questions. Anyone can answer.
Can I say something?
Sure.
According to Vedic knowledge, Agnihotra does not kill anything. So bacteria are not killed. But it seems that two things. First, I showed some slides. I didn't go into details because of time. But first, the virulence of these bacteria is reduced. That is one thing. And second thing is the multiplication of these viruses is also reduced. This is what Dr. Poonam mentioned before. They did a lot of studies on these beneficial bacteria for the soil and then the harmful bacteria. And beneficial bacteria, they increased. They did one experiment in some other place, and they could show if you add Agnihotra ash to soil, phosphorus solubilizing bacteria, they increased 1,000 times. Nitrogen fixing bacteria increased. At the same time, harmful fungi, they were controlled. So this is how exactly it happens, that we do not know yet, but we know it's not killing. It is just making the environment less favorable for these things. And in order to understand that, you can't go apply the method of chemistry, because with chemistry, you know, one agent does go in this direction or in that direction. Here it is more that nature comes back to harmony. And if nature is in harmony, is in balance, then these things are regulated automatically. But still, there is some scientific work necessary, interesting research, because it may mean that in certain environments, one bacteria is beneficial, in other environments it is detrimental. And how does Agnihotra make this distinction when it should be improved? This is something some very interesting question. It looks like Agnihotra has some inbuilt intelligence. About this virus experiment, one thing which could be, I mean, it's not easy, and I'm not a microbiologist, and I don't know nothing about viruses, but one thing which I think it is pretty easy is to see the viral load in the air, you know, in these particles. That can be, I think it could be probably done in a similar way like these experiments with bacteria were done with these Petri dishes. And probably if, you know, these droplets, aerosols, they settle down in these Petri dishes, probably you could also see these viruses in these Petri dishes after incubation. So similar procedure, just not checking for bacteria, but checking for viruses. And you do the same thing. You keep this petri dish open before Agnihotra for a certain time, say 10 minutes or whatever. And then after Agnihotra, you keep another petri dish also open for 10 minutes, same time, and then incubate the same time, and then you check. I don't know exactly, which nutrient you need to cultivate these viruses, but the microbiologists will know. So I think this method would be pretty much simple. Only thing is you need a place like a hospital where you have COVID-19 patients, where the viral load must be there in the air, and then you do it.
One hypothesis I want to discuss here. In the environment, when we do Agnihotra, the things which we burn in the air are nutrients in nature. So when the viruses and the bacteria get their nutrition from the environment, they don't attack the human cells. This may be the reason that they are less virulent after doing Agnihotra performance. This has to be done with experiments also. When there is a simple logic, when we cut trees, the monkeys which are living in the jungle, they come to the cities and the villages and destroy all the things. But when we grow trees, they get their food there. They don't disturb the human nature, human people. So that's why there may be a reason when we put a ghee in the air, the small droplets which may be the food of the bacteria, and the bacteria is satisfied with that food, that don't attack our systems. That is my hypothesis, which is not proved yet. Maybe they or maybe not.
Very interesting. Dr. Poonam, finally, would you like to answer that hypothesis? In fact, combination, both of them seem to be unifying their hypothesis, saying that it promotes good bacteria and somehow inhibits the replication of the bad bacteria. And how does the environment know which is good, which is bad? Ecologically speaking, both are good. So I can think of testing replication by isolating the plasmid and maybe checking if the replication is going up or down.
Very good question, Dr. Nand. In fact, one of the microbiologists who was in our team, Dr. Panda from veterinary side, very interesting studies are carried out. We try to keep the plates inside the room where Agnihotra was kept, then some few meters away, and then even outside the farm, because our farm was resonance, it was energized in the resonance manner, and then we kept the plates outside the farm, and in fact means how far the effect of Agnihotra goes into the atmosphere. And one thing is that Dr. Ishwar, what he is suggesting, whether it is a food of the viruses and bacteria, I can't comment on that. But one thing is that the concept is that you have to clean the environment, purify the environment, and Agnihotra works on that aspect. It distinguishes because the activity of beneficial organism is effective. The concept is same. The way it affects you, it affects every living organism. But, and the quality air, which is good for us, we are healthy. The beneficial organisms growth enhances, and the harmful, which deplenishes, automatically gets finished. That is basically how Agnihotra works.
But one question is there: the nature has produced nothing harmful. This is our collaboration with the nature. What we do, which makes somebody useful, somebody harmful, somebody anything. But what I want to say that we should do some work on this also, because all the things we put in the air through Agnihotra are beneficial to, if we get benefit from that, all other living beings should get benefit from that, whether they are harmful for us or they are useful us. We decide this is harmful, but nature has the other role. There is some purpose for other harm to whom we call harmful. There is a purpose of them also. So we don't know what is the purpose. That's why nature is supreme.
Dr. Ishwar very rightly said, everything lives in the environment in a balanced way. When the balance of the ecosystem is disturbed, only then we get affected. Yeah. Otherwise, everything is living in harmony. But disease affects only the weaker. So when we purify the environment, the harmful things gets diminished. Almost the harmful. We call harmful them in our aspect, not for the nature. Yeah, the balance has to be, or you can say the balance is maintained with Agnihotra.
I will say not balance, but this is harmony.
You can say
We
that.
should live in harmony, not in balance.
Very interesting discussion. Please put it up as a hypothesis paper. We will peer review it and we will publish it.
And all should give some hypothesis, and we should do work on this also.
Once the hypothesis is published, ideas are there in the integrated fashion, read by physicians, scientists, Ayurveda people, or yoga people. The cross-pollination of ideas will result in new experiments which need to be validated and tested. And I think this experiment of whether good bacteria go up and bad go down can easily be conducted. We have the modern tools to answer those questions.
There's some other suggestion also. If the policymakers decide to see the differences of the environment or other human health, they should start Agnihotra in schools. If we do Prarthana in the schools, if we do Agnihotra daily in the schools, the health of our children and the immunity of children will grow. And we can do experiments on that also. Some schools are doing, some are not doing. We can see the change, the difference.
So a pilot study has to be designed, approved, and then conducted.
Dr. Pandit is making the policy.
We are running out of time. So we'll let Dr. Pandit react to it with Dr. Rakesh with a request that at least at the very minimum, Arogya Bharati can sponsor this scheme, this pilot project. And all of us here are collaborators. We can take one from the previous panel.
Yes, sir. I have a proposal for Dr. Poonam. Since she is based in Palampur, the Department of Ayush Government of India has an extramural research project scheme, under which more than 70 lakh rupees is awarded for research in Ayurveda related activities. So she can collaborate with Tanda Government Medical College or Government Ayurvedic College Paprola and design a study for conducting research to measure the bacteria virus count in environment in relation to various disease or journal otherwise. I will request her if she is interested, so I can help in processing the project.
Excellent. So that is the outcome.
And very good discussion.
So
I request Akshay also to continue this program.
Sure,
Feature also. One more, at least one or two more such sessions should be there.
Definitely. We'll take it. I think we'll take the discussion, the interperson decision later. We'll let Dr. Burke to allow me, Dr. Poonam, to, because we have really run out of time. And in fact, even my battery is running out of, and I'm not able to find a plug. So let's allow Dr. Burke to make a final comment, and then we say goodbye and let the audience also disperse.
Namaste.
Okay. First, I thank again for the invitation, Dr. Akshay. And then I thank all the panelists for this very lively and interesting discussion. And yes, I think it is very good if we continue and do some studies as was discussed. We can do some more discussion through emails maybe. And great what Dr. Rakesh suggested to go for some funding through this Ayush program. And very good if Dr. Poonam could be part of that project, because she has pioneered this work on research on Agnihotra since a long time. And I'm always very happy to give my support in coordinating and, you know, I'm in relation with many other scientists also. So that will be very interesting, and I'm sure we will get very good results, and we should start soon, because this problem of COVID-19 is still very much present all over the world. So, and that would be a great help for all humanity. So
Thank you very much, Dr. Burke, for an excellent presentation. And thank you all the panelists, Dr. Rakesh, Dr. Poonam, Dr. Ishwar. And I would like to also take the opportunity to thank the volunteers working behind for the journal Integrative Medicine case reports. This is all an effort to increase the data which can bring the best of the East and best of the West using modern tools and roll it out as a integrative medicine for wider acceptability and for increased benefit to society. With that, I would close the session. Thank you once again and have a great evening. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you.